Currently, we have the how-to section and the GenSpark section. I'm going to be adding a section like a general, and I'm just going to be putting in general workflows that I connect from A to Z for you guys that run, so that you can kind of follow along if you want to do that. And I'm also going to be another section that is going to be called, I don't know what to call it right now, but it's going to be called LLMs. And it's going to be different ways of using different LLMs. For example, Victor, what you and I kind of went through, I think like a month ago with Claude, where you did that really long research, right? I find stuff like that really helpful for people to understand what are some of the advantages, how you can utilize this. The last thing, I'm also going to be labeling them by dates in that one, so that it's a lot easier for people or you guys to know exactly when something was released, what kind of basic, is it up to date? What is the premise of it? How can you use it, utilize it best, and so on. So yeah, that's in the pipeline. Manny, you've been looking to change the whole workflow into a single workflow, taking it slow as you've been learning more. I really like that. Keep in mind one thing though, I would like, this is just my advice, maybe you're gonna disagree, but I would rather you have 3 separate workflows that do one function each, and they all blend into the system, rather than one very complicated workflow. Because if one very complicated workflow breaks, it's going to be very hard for you to figure out where the problems are. I understand, just like be careful of that little problem there, because if it's one big workflow for 3 different processes, you might run into the problem of something is breaking and it's very difficult to figure out where. So just a heads up there. Happy to talk more on that, Manny. But first, I want to welcome Paris Knight. I think this is the first time you're with me on one of these calls, so thank you so much for joining. I usually host the Wednesday calls. Sometimes I also do Monday calls as well. But I'm Vic. I'm going to quickly introduce myself to you. I'm the co-founder of the AI Profit Boardroom alongside Julian. Julian is really the face of it. He is, let's say, the big dog here. I am more in the background, but I try to create as many helpful lessons as I can for you guys. Give you as much advice, help, ideas as I can. And usually what I like to do on these calls, Paris, is I like to say hello to everyone that joined me for the first time and kind of give you a little bit of room. Maybe you have some questions, or maybe there's something that I can help you with right off the bat. So if you're okay, if you're not too shy to unmute, give us a little bit of intro. Who is Paris? What are you working on? And is there any way that I can help you today?
Yeah, thanks, Vic. Definitely not too shy. Hi, everybody. I've been lingering around in the background for a month or so whilst I've been trying to put all my time and attention into all this amazing AI and totally pivoting my career right now and my life. My background is that I'm actually an acupuncturist, and naturopath and detox coach. I've been living out in Asia for 18 years, running retreats and having a clinic. But my brother is quite a well-known social media coach and trainer. And I've always kept, for the past 20 years, kept in with his trainings, always loved it, but was on a different path for a while. I'm 51 now, and I've kind of had enough of people's problems.
Yeah, I get that.
I was in Portugal this year, and the AI started dropping, and I started to learn it, and I was just blown away. I literally couldn't sleep for 3 months. I couldn't sleep. I was playing with everything and just losing my mind, like, what the fuck? And then I was like, right, this is it. This is how I'm going to really reach the people that I want to reach and make a shitload more money than I've ever been making. And I created a ecosystem called Openly, which is very cool. It needs a lot of residue memory, of persistent memory, that we just don't seem to have right now. And I've created a $4 million pitch deck for it. And it's an amazing system. It's just not got the tech yet, but it will. So I'm super excited to be able to roll that out. And my whole thing is to harness the power of AI for the greater good of humanity.
I get you.
That's the background I come from. I've been in the healing industry for like 25 years. So, but in the meantime, I'm setting up my PK AI agency. I'm kind of honing in on the AI receptionist.
Okay.
Also creating the videos for like trainings and corporate introductions to new employees or products.
Really good.
I feel that those are niches that are going to be great ways to scale up the profit and to always be something that people are going to need.
I love it. It's really good. I can even give you another idea here. I've spoken about this a couple of months ago, but basically there was a gentleman in here that had like similar idea of offering basically HR automations or something along that line, right? One of the things, and I actually experienced this myself firsthand about 2 years ago. a year and a half ago, is this company that I was talking to. I was working for a company at that time that developed 3D models for phones. There was a company that I was talking to, and they were like, we're doing something along the lines of AI interviews. I'm like, okay, so basically I'm just talking to like a robot, right? And they're like, yes, but we do it in phases. And the reason I'm telling you this, Paris, is I found it very interesting because I went through a trial with them, and they put me in front 3 different agents. I mean, it was kind of like a round 1, round 2, round 3. The first round was a gentleman that was very welcoming, blabbered a lot, and basically the difficulty there, or the premise, was he didn't let me talk. He tried to fill all the air, and he wanted to go overtime. So it was, for me, the job there was to understand this, to read the room, and to be able to guide them towards a CTA, and also inform him that our time has run up and we need to finish, right? So the first one was like that assessment, right, of me as, at that time, I was a senior account manager. The second interviewer was a really rude person. So they were like super unhappy with results, and the premise of that conversation was for me to do damage control, right, and mitigate basically what is happening in the situation there. And they were very basically rude. They were cussing. They were doing a lot of things. It was for me to stay calm and collected. And then the third one was a person that I was onboarding, and they were just interested in results, ROI. So why am I telling you this story? Basically, I'm trying to give you an idea of other things that you can look also to incorporate in these corporate segments with your AI agency, right? That you can be like a holistic approach. For example, you said, hey, I want to help you with the videos for your onboarding processes. Why don't we take it a step back? Why don't we go from the interviewer process, right? I'm not talking about screening your CVs. Instead of wasting time with a candidate that maybe doesn't even know how to say 2 words in English, let's just make sure that they go through these kind of like AI agents or avatars, and have them screened that way. And then the final interview is the impactful one, where they get to be in front of a person. Just giving you some ideas. Maybe you've thought of this, maybe you've already done it as well, but I found that very, very cool, and I want to hype it up.
I love that. You're actually speaking to a part of my Openly platform that I've already started to create, which is it's for like the corporate Openly section of it, where I've created a culture interview process. So each business already has its culture that it wants to have its specific person, because what's the point in onboarding a new employee that's not going to fit in with the culture of whatever section they're going to go into? So through using nonviolent communication, human design, all these different kind of like human patterning things. I mean, I used to work in the NLP section like 15, 20 years ago, using sections of like NLP as well. And this is the way that I would want to introduce these sort of onboarding processes. So letting people put their business knowledge inside, but then letting them know there's a psychological aspect to it as well, which I think is going to be something that, you know, it could really be a way to move forward with a lot of business onboarding.
No, I like that. And definitely very happy if your Openly platform is ever in a stage where you're trying to gather some like intel, or maybe trying to test it with a broader audience. Super happy to not only offer me to take a look at it, but if you want, you can also share it in the community. Basically, if you have like a demo version, and you can ask people, hey, what do you think about this?
Thank you.
Of course, if you want to keep it basically secret because you're trying not to have someone else steal the idea, I completely get that part as well. You know,
there is definitely that, because there's quite some what I feel quite innovative ideas.
Yeah,
I'm happy to share it with you personally.
Of course.
A whole pitch deck website with different aspects of it. So yeah. But thank you for having me.
No, of course. My pleasure, and welcome, Paris. And I look forward to hearing maybe some of the things that you're going to run into, or some of the problems. Maybe there are ways that we can help each other, learn from each other, you know. So you have a great, interesting experience background, you know. Maybe it's not so much into the AI space, but you're pivoting so hard. And I'm sure that you're going to be using that experience from before and that knowledge of where pain points lie with certain businesses or industries, and you can use that to your advantage. And just like Arnett said, just know that there is going to be a lot of work here as well, right? People's problems, because you're going to be trying to solve them through AI, but at least you're going to have a helping hand, right? You're going to have AI there with you to make sure you're able to tackle everything.
I think it actually gives me quite an upper hand, because the psychological aspect behind this AI trying to approach people is a big one. You know, most of them don't even know what it is. A lot of them are scared of it. So it's a big part of it. And I just want to finish by saying that Julian's videos have been one of the most influential learning processes that I've had online. I follow quite a few people on YouTube. I'm on YouTube 5 to 6 hours a day, if not more. A couple of months ago, I was on YouTube for 12 hours a day. But Julian has consistently just like upped his game and upped his game. And obviously you've been in there as well. So just thank you so much for all the hard effort learning and, you know, just creating such an amazing amount of content. It's been incredible. Every single day. I set GPT every morning to give me a AI up. So every morning it goes off all around the world and it gives me all the updates of YouTubes and businesses in China and America and everything. So it's been a great way to learn.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. And thank you so much. I mean, Julian, usually me and him watch these calls together. Basically every day I have a one-to-one with him and we kind of cover what has happened in the previous day, whether it's been a Jeff coaching call or myself on a Q&A here with you guys. I'm going to definitely relay the information. One thing that we sometimes do think about is the fact that maybe we give a little bit even too much content and points. So that is why we kind of segmented. And right now in the AI Profit Boardroom, I'm trying to create a lot more hands-on or applicable knowledge for you guys, where I create things that I hear from you in these conversations or in the comments or in posts, whereas Julian is a lot more on the broader knowledge, right? He's going to give you a ton of ideas. He's going to give you so much interesting tools. I don't even get to play with half of the tools he gets to play because I don't have that much time. I'm focused on other things, but yeah, glad you like it. Awesome stuff. And definitely going to be in touch, Paris, with everything that you'll be working on. And feel free to drop me a message so that I can play around with openly. Awesome. My pleasure. Arnett, Vic, I made contact with Hamish from Income Stream Surfers during one of his live streams recently. He explained why he doesn't do collabs. He works better alone and prefers to just focus on his own stuff with his business partner while doing frequent live streams and other stuff with his YouTube channel. I kind of gathered that, Arnett, because we did reach out to over 20 people in the space. I don't know if you've noticed, but recently Julian has actually been doing, and this really depends on just where exactly you follow Julian, but Julian has been doing a lot of collaborations with podcasters. So he's been on a lot of podcasts recently. For example, the most recent one was 2 days ago. It's with this fella, and they really talk about, I'm just going to link it here if you guys are interested. They talk a lot about how to create a community. This person is also a business owner. He has an SEO agency in the US, but he's pivoted a lot more now towards a SaaS business. And the conversation is around like the value of having a community, some of the hardships that you're going to encounter as an agency, as well as the benefits and the ideas behind creating something that is a SaaS platform. So we have been doing a lot of collabs recently, Arnett, and this is moving towards us also transitioning that into school or our community. But right now it's in the form of, as you can see, this was posted 12 hours ago. So it's in the form of podcasts, but do expect things to happen in that direction as well, Arnett, because I know you and I have spoken about the possibility of bringing other coaches on. And as a note on other coaches, I have brought 3 coaches so far for you guys throughout this year. So far, Jeff has been the one that's been most consistent. That's why he stayed with us. But if any of you have an idea or have a referral that you want to send my way for a coach, if we do end up hiring them for the process, we also offer a referral award or referral prize, how do I say it? So feel free to get in touch with me via my DMs and let me know if you know someone that is very knowledgeable in AI business, AI automation. Very happy to talk to them, have an interview, see how it goes. I have had 3 interviews last week with potential new coaches as well. And I will keep you posted, guys, on whether we introduce someone new or we keep it as is for now. On that note, has anyone been playing around with any new AI tools? Has anyone been doing anything fun recently? Anyone that's struggling with something? I want to hear from you guys. Go for it, Matt.
I think a couple questions. I'll just do one right now. I was going through the 6-week thing with some modules, and then the introduction module. So your separate one and the original one. But I also took a look and did deviate off the path and went into the Julian section of Profit Boardroom that was about YouTube.
Okay.
Are there any nuances that if an audience is actually better suited for another video sharing platform here in the US, and it might be elsewhere, Rumble or others like that, are there any modifications to the strategy, or is it pretty much should be the same, just the content tailored for the audience?
A great question. First and foremost, I don't know if you know, but Rumble's CEO is actually Macedonian, so he is representing my country. I think his name is Chris Pavlovsky or something, but yeah. No worries. And so in terms of your question, whether you tailor it depending on what channel you're on, this is kind of like a two-edged sword, and I'll explain why. On one side, yes, you have to tailor it depending on the audience, and I'll explain why. The same content does not perform well on YouTube versus, for example, Instagram versus TikTok, right? Even shorts and TikToks, even though they are the same exact format and length, they perform differently, whereas it's because of the different types of audiences that exist on the platforms. Now, why do I also say it's a yes and a no answer? The no part comes into, it's going to be still the same practices that you're going to be applying, just in a different way. And what you're going to be looking to understand is what type of audience are you going to be reaching to within this niche if you are on a platform like YouTube or like Rumble, etc. So for example, I think Rumble is a lot more known in the US part of the world rather than EU. So you're going to understand maybe a lot of the audience that I'm going to find is going to be somewhere from there. Same with TikTok. Maybe a lot of a younger audience is going to be present. You will be using the same, how do I say this, foundations, but just in different tones of voice or maybe different hooks. And those are going to be your most important parts to make sure that you're adjusting depending on where you're at. Some places are going to require a really strong visual hook, where other places are going to require you to have a really high quality voice, because people can, for example, watch you on Apple. If you have, like, let's say a podcast and you place it everywhere on Spotify or on Apple, I might not watch the video. I might just listen to the voice, right? So this is why it's yes and no, Matt, if that makes sense.
It does. And that actually, you touched on my second question there. You talk about podcasts. The reason I bring all this up is in the sports world here in the US, in the minor league section, no one has touched yet Rumble, Gab, Vimeo, and the others. They stick with the traditional, and none of them have touched the decentralized equivalents. So there's a something called 3Speak TV, which is a decentralized Web3 video sharing like YouTube that pays you back in some publicly traded crypto, things like that. But no sports team has touched any of it, and they do have large enough audiences to warrant it, and then to be the pioneer in those areas. But the podcast is the interesting one. I always call it like first, second, and third tier podcasts. You have your top 10, your Spotify's, and syndicated out through Buzzsprout. Your second tier, like a Podbean, direct. But all those third tier ones that do exist and accept, let's say in the sports category, the RSS feeds with all the, just upload the RSS feed, submit, they accept it, and now you're in their little directory just purely off RSS. Is that typically, but there are 40 or 50 of those, besides just getting a huge amount of coffee and doing it manually. Is that something better if I don't have a third party service that I trust to outsource on Fiverr or Conquer or some other big site? Is that something that would be handled by AI? Is that better for something like a bot that would handle submission? It's a rookie question, but when it comes to something like that, because I can pick up a lot of traffic that way collectively across 50 in something, being the only pro baseball or pro football, whatever it is, in those directories.
Look, first, it's not a rookie question. Every question is a good question, especially in today's world. For example, the expertise you have in the virtual real estate and virtual world, I'm not even close to that. So, please don't think of it as a rookie question. You're asking something that is going to help a bunch of people when they hear this.
So when it comes to that, be grateful you aren't, because A, I'm a pioneer, which means I have arrows in my back. It's the old American. And second of all, it means I need to get out more often.
No, absolutely not. You're doing great. But Matt, let me get to your question. So this is what I'm going to say. One of the main philosophies that we use and apply to our business, but also we try to teach, is the fact that the more opportunities that you're going to have for people to have eyes, or in this case, ears on you, the better it's going to be. So when you're thinking, hey, should I redistribute this piece of article or this piece of content or this video or this audio track to more channels, or just focus on the biggest channels? I'm always going to be like, if you can go broader, go broader. Just shoot everywhere, because you don't know where you're going to catch a fish. It might be on the smallest of platforms that you're going to rope in someone that then is going to like and share you with a bunch of friends, and they're going to just end up subscribing to you, and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to the second part of that, can you automate it? That kind of really heavily depends on whether these platforms have either native nodes that already exist, for example, in N8N, or if they have APIs. The reason I say this is it's 100% easy. Like, it's very easy for you to automate the distribution part. We already have lessons on that, specifically even for social media, for example, for Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and so on. However, so distribution is easy, but for you to be able to do it, there needs to be a way or access for it to finalize. So what I would say is, for you, the homework here would be figure out how many of these platforms have either an API that can be used or just have a native node in N8N. Once you have that list, it's going to be very easy for me to maybe just give you a template. This is how it's supposed to look, Matt, and this is how you can be distributing to all of the places. For example, let's imagine you're uploading this podcast to a Google Drive. The automation kicks off as soon as it notices a new file in Google Drive, and from there it distributes to every appropriate channel.
Okay, and the reason I bring that up is because also in this niche there's a subset of the professional baseball niche in the US and to a little degree in Canada that encompasses about 80 to 90 teams, the majority of which have podcasts or some online radio broadcasts, but they hardly know how to spell RSS. That's just where they are right now. It just so then in theory I could become a centralized thing of distribution for them to take their things and put it on those podcasts, but I would be able to modify the files, with a call to action or some monetization element on behalf of doing that for them, to give them distribution to all these other outlets that they don't otherwise have, and that the other competitors in the pro base have not yet touched. So thank you for bringing that up, because when it comes to something like scaling like that, the file, like you said, the file comes. I may put that as part of a one-on-one, something to schedule if you're under. Thank you.
No worries, Matt. Yeah, look, it's going to be really scalable, because what you're going to be looking to do is you're going to be building it out for every different team or whoever. Let's say we're talking about like 5 different MLB teams, right? For every single one of them, it's going to be a separate automation. It's not going to be all just in one Google Drive folder, right? So it's going to be very easy for you to scale it, because it's going to be based on that one person or one group or one team, right? So it's going to be very easy for you to control that. And the best part is you can just sell that as a integration, right? Hey, I'm going to automate this from A to Z. So, basically that's how I would approach it.
No, thank you. I'll connect some other questions later, but thank you. This is great.
No worries, of course. All right. I also saw whilst we were talking there that we had a new person join, Dominic. Welcome, Dominic. I believe this is the first time you're on one of my calls. If you're shy or you don't want to unmute, that's all good. What I do is every time someone new joins, I give them a little bit of room to kind of introduce themselves and tell me what they're working on, if they have any questions, because I want to make sure that right off the bat, I'm helpful for you guys. I give you value, and you guys, not only maybe share some stuff that you're working on, but maybe even learn something from these calls. So Dominic, if you're shy or if you don't have access to a microphone, or you're in a loud place and you don't want to talk, that's all good. If not, I invite you to unmute and give us a little bit of an intro about yourself. And I'm going to give you a few seconds, and then I'm going to assume that you are unable to do so. All right. Oh, there we go. You can see the camera. And
I wasn't prepared to talk, but I'm relatively new to the group. I haven't seen one of these calls come up yet, so yeah, this is the first one.
Nice.
I've been on a couple of the other group calls. I'm a software engineer by trade.
Nice.
Full stack engineer, and I've been interested in the concept of AI since as long as I can remember, just as far back as like Star Trek with Commander Data.
I love that.
Or science fiction depictions of artificial intelligence, and I know that LLMs aren't quite really the same thing, but it's piqued my interest, especially within the last year or so, how quickly things have developed and how many different ways it's being used. So I'm just trying to, one, get on the forefront of this huge AI wave, and possibly use it as in my software development, but really trying to use it to do my own thing. Whether that's some sort of agency or creating like a micro SaaS, or help doing consultant work to throw things together. I'm not really sure what it looks like yet. I'm trying to figure out the monetization, like how I'm going to use it. I also was thinking about I like teaching people and helping people, so I was thinking about making YouTube content, going over the stuff I'm learning, going over AI trends and AI stuff, but possibly trying to figure out a way to do something on school as well, but not something that everyone else is doing already. So I'm trying to figure that stuff out.
Nice. Well, welcome to the group, first and foremost, and glad to have you on this call. I love that you referenced Data and Star Trek. I'm not gonna lie, I grew up on Star Trek. Even to this day, I watch back like Deep Space Nine, or I watch Voyager or whatever, and I'm so hooked. It doesn't matter. what time they've been created. It is something that opened my mind, I think, to. I think that is one of the reasons why a lot of us, maybe that grew up on such, let's say, ideas, have a really open mind to what we can do and what AI can do for you, instead of being super skeptical or super scared of it even. Anyways,
Yeah.
Dominic, I love that. I also really like the fact that you're mentioning a couple of different avenues. You're saying maybe I'm going to go consulting, maybe a micro SaaS, maybe just everyday kind of things. I think right now is probably the best time to try and explore and experiment with such ideas, because I feel like as more and more people get accustomed and aware of LLMs and maybe the power and the things that they can achieve with tools, not just like ChatGPT and Claude, but also tools like Bold.new, Lovable, and then Gemini, GenSpark, and so on and so forth, right? There's a lot of opportunities there to create stuff very quickly, stuff that is going to be imperfect, and a lot of people are just deploying everything and anything. So if that's the case now, imagine what's going to be like in 6 months, when even more and more people know about it, right? And everyone's going to get their hands on it. So I would say, for me right now, I'm in a state where I think launching a SaaS is the smartest thing to do if you can figure out a problem that you can solve through software, because it's so easy for people to subscribe and they're going to stay with you, because software is so self-sustainable in the sense that you're not going to need account managers constantly. If it just is something like, for example, I've never used an account manager for my, I'm going to use stupid examples here, but like neither for Stripe, nor for school, nor for anything that I'm kind of like entering to do stuff or to get like a goal out of it. Never used an account manager from Figma, never used an account manager from, you get my point, right? There's like 100 things out there that you can create. I've even gone ahead and given some examples of SaaS ideas that I've created through GenSpark, just like MVPs. I'm going to share 2 of them here just to kind of show you what I've quickly built, and this is just by me playing around with it. For example, these aren't even built. These are just MVPs. Right? One of them was specifically, and I think Paris, I might be touching on part of what you were mentioning earlier. For example, this was just like an onboarding automation platform. Basically, the idea for me was like, you're going to have different tiers for pricing. You're going to have like basically like a freelancer that's trying to maintain this onboarding process and does just like 1 client at a time, maybe someone that does up to 5, et cetera, right? And then you're going to have a dashboard where you can check out, how can I add a new client, right? How can I generate a welcome email, and so on and so forth. So the reason why I'm showing you this, Dominic, is I built this in 2 hours. And it's just something that, I mean, it probably already exists. It probably has like not an easy entry path, because a lot of companies want to keep onboarding maybe internal and so on, but it's just an idea, right? And then I went from here and I kept it around the retention side of things, because in my day-to-day within Goldie Agency, I work as the director of client success. So I work a lot around onboardings, a lot around churn, a lot around retention, and so on. So the second thing was, okay, let's do something about churn. Let's create a software that is going to be able to flag let's say clients that are in danger of churning because of, for example, lack of communication, because of constant delayed payments, because of declining results, right? And so on. So this is the second one I built, and it's very similar to the other one. It's just with a different intent or a different pain problem solving, because I know that this is a huge problem for agencies, right? A lot of them are blindsided by 70% of churn, maybe even more. So I was like, okay, if I create something that is super easy for them to follow, or for example, their director of client success or whatever they call it to follow, you know, like this would be so good. If I had this in my day-to-day, this would be so good for me. If I can look at this, and the only thing that I would lack here is, who's my account manager? Hey, are you trying to do a upsell with growth partners? Where are you at? So on and so forth, right? Again, Dominic, the only reason I'm sharing this with you is because how easy it is to come up with an MVP. And then the next step for you, for example, because you already have software experience, you can just figure out if you can find a group to test it for you, or if you can even create like a minimal viable product by just going to Reddit or going to platforms where you think maybe an audience exists and asking, hey, would something like this solve your problem? And from there, you instantly have a product, right? You figure out how to, whether you vibe code it or you natty code it, whatever you do, you launch it and you build from there. You know, maybe you get a couple more people on board. But this is just me kind of throwing some ideas to maybe spark what you're on, Dominic.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate that. That made me wonder if you're aware, or if there's things that I can do to, I guess, trying to get the idea is probably a harder part for me. So like, should I make, like, is there a way to like go into LinkedIn, or I guess I can go to Reddit, or like find find issues that companies are having, possibly, or trying to find something that maybe, that's there, and then try to make a thing and then throw that idea out there. Just I don't know. I'm just trying to think of how to put the horse before the cart kind of thing.
I love that you're bringing this up, because that is going to be the biggest problem for most people, is going to be figuring out a problem that they think they can solve better than how other people are already solving it, right? So in this case, Dominic, what I'm going to say is both avenues that you mentioned, like Reddit and LinkedIn, are amazing. What you can do to make it easier for you and not to do a too big of a time investment, which is also going to be a double-edged sword, and I'll explain why, is you can just ask an LLM to do research for you. And for example, find me the 5 most common problems around, but make sure that you add a department, because if you're going too broad, it's never going to work well, right? So figure out what is the department that you're really smart about, or really have good insight about, or have been in for most of your life, because you're going to be able to understand the problem and a pathway to solution, right? So you can go to AI, because this is going to save you a lot more time than manually searching through LinkedIn, like you were saying, or Reddit. However, if you want to get the better data, going to places like LinkedIn and Reddit and finding valuable posts where they're talking about a problem and then giving your MVP, something that you can scrap up with quite quickly, that is also a really, really good path. So it's up to you. I would personally lean towards the LLM, because of we're all busy people, right? We have so many things in our lives. So if I have a lot of free time, maybe I'll do both. But in my case, I would just go with the LLM, kind of really explain what I'm looking to get and set it on a research path.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try that. Thank you.
Awesome. No, my pleasure, Dominic. My pleasure. Go for it, Matt.
A couple things. Number one, first of all, welcome, Dominic. You're going to have fun in this group here. So I just welcome to the weekly calls. And then Vic, I was going to ask you 2 more things when it comes back to the SEO side of things from Julian and your work. Client I've got has 5 locations in Texas. Each surrounded by about 20 neighboring towns. We call it suburbs. I'm not sure what the terminology is elsewhere, but each is in a main city, 20 or so average surrounding towns. And I built individual pages, each with city-specific or suburb-specific content around it.
Nice.
I do it manually, because that was the whole thing about pulling stuff from the local governments and the local hotel. It wasn't easy to automate, unfortunately. Too much coffee on those days.
Yeah.
Link building to those individual pages. I know Google's algorithm. I've got to drip feed it, Google Search Console, assuming everything's good on the on-page side, schema, page load time. What has Julian seen or you seen when it comes to any city with the surrounding towns around it that are within smart geographic distance for link building in a way that gives unique, authoritative content that gets a little bit of traffic, and you do see some sort of discernible ranking increases? That's number one. And then on the flip side, using something that said Julian was on other people's YouTube channels, that the link you just put in the chat a few minutes ago triggered something in my brain. YouTube, I found a way on playlists, and it's only in YouTube right now. There's a way to structure a playlist with videos that are relevant to a topic, but not just only from your own channel. So if Julian had something on his main channel, but he incorporated his being on other people's channels as part of the playlist, then you have to optimize the title. Of course, you have to optimize the description. And then it's weird. YouTube actually, when you go into a YouTube playlist and you look at it on a desktop or laptop, they say that the playlist itself has X number of views, but it's not the number of views of a video. And the way YouTube and very deep in Google, they define it, it's like a movie theater. You have to enter the playlist, which is entering the movie theater, and then you watch 1 or more videos in their entire, like a movie.
Yeah.
Hence, then it counts as a playlist view. And for local keywords, I found that once you get medium competition keywords, 175, 200, maybe a little bit more in places like New York or Chicago, playlist views, the playlist will rank number 1 in YouTube, and possibly the playlist on its own will take a page 1 spot in Google in the organic rankings, Perplexity and the others. So typically that's a CTR, a click-through rate software tool. But I didn't know if there's anything in the AI that could generate quality views with different IP addresses and footprints versus having to pay a third-party click-through rate service or have to buy higher traffic ads. Because if I want to do 30 or 40 of these, or the 20 towns around each one, I can build 3 playlists in a day, drip feed the traffic, and then get number 1 rankings, at least in YouTube, for keyword plus suburb.
Yeah. So Matt, let's start with the first one, yeah, because those are two different things. So for the first one, for link building for local, let's say rankings, this is going to be me being transparent with you. There are different ways that you can do link building in general, right? One of the ways that we do it is through link insertion with the skyscraper method, we as Goldie Agency, and we have had a lot of success, whether it's local ranking, whether it's international, whether it's worldwide, whatever it is. Now, when it comes specifically to local ranking, the problem that you're going to run into, if you're going to be trying to source only locally ranked pages, you're going to have, and I kid you not, if you have more than 10 prospects, where you can do link insertion or even guest posts, I would be shocked because of how much you're minimizing the field that you're going after, right? So what I would say for local ranking, and a lot of people, and this is I think where most of the disagreement in the SEO community is. Other people think otherwise, so I would always suggest do your own research, DUOR, whatever. What we found works best is you localize the pages. So the content on the pages, like you've already done, is very optimized for the local ranking with the city name or whatever it is. You make sure that you also do the optimization on page in the footer, because that is very, very important for local ranking, for close proximity and so on. And from there, you can link build basically everywhere in the world. So I'm not talking about link building in Asian websites and expecting to get rankings, but what I'm talking about is if it's an English built website, and you're trying to rank in the US, it's not going to matter whether the English-based website is in the UK or whether it's in the Netherlands, as long as you can find an article that is centered around the niche that you're in. So it's very niche relevant and it's very semantically close to the anchor text that you're going to be plugging in for the backlink, as well as just ensuring that it's an optimized page where you're placing the link as well. Most of the time, you're not going to care about the traffic there because they're not going to be coming through directly from their page. What you're doing is you're showcasing to Google a lot of the EEAT signals, the expertise, authority, trustworthiness, and experience, right? Basically, you're getting mentioned somewhere, and this is what really matters. So is it going to matter? Is it going to be better if you can find local pages? Absolutely. 200%. Are you going to be able to do that if you find, again, like more than 10 prospects, maybe 20, depending on how let's say how common your niche is? Maybe you're going to be able to find more, but it's going to be so hard to do link placements because most of them are going to be your competition or are going to be people that are directly already bought out by the competition that have done link placements. This is my biggest worry. When you do link building, don't bottleneck yourself into just looking at the area. Make sure that the on-page is very localized. And like I was saying, and like you were saying, the title, the URL, the meta description, everything, even the footer, which is very, very important, showcases where you're trying to rank. And then you can link build almost with any page as long as it has healthy standings. It's not a PBN, it's not a toxic backlink. And so I
was just trying to reduce costs because let's say a good link insert, everything else. I'm going to pick an arbitrary number, $20 here in the US. And that's in bulk. I'm in for two. But I know Julian was doing things like making those Claude artifact pages. So I just wasn't sure if there's a way to reduce my costs, scale, get quicker to get those type of same link signals so I get at least one good high quality Google approved external authority link pointing into that deeper suburb specific or neighboring town specific page. And I need to do it at scale, but also drip that I can handle the throttling as to how fast or slow. But I would just, if every location to get one link for all 5 of my locations and averaging 20, I'm in for 100 towns. I'm in for a minimum of $2,000 to $3,000 US on link inserts, outsource it. And I just wanted to be able to either reduce that hard cost or get it better, higher, you know what I mean, to reduce the space.
I get you. If you want to showcase fast local rankings, the best thing for you, Matt, is, and this is like a cheat code, your Google My Business profile needs to be identical to your website's profile. In what way? You need to have the identical name on the services. You need to have the identical address the way it's typed out on both. You need to have the identical layout of how they're positioned. I kid you not, it's so stupid, but this is going to showcase so much faster results for your local businesses that you're going to be dumbfounded. So if on Google My Business it goes A, Z, B, C, D, E, F, you do the same on your page, A, Z, B, C, E, D, F, whatever, right? So you doing that just shows how consistently the same it is. And when Google crawls it, they connect it to your Google My Business account or placing, you're golden. You're just golden.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And then on the click-through rate stuff for YouTube in particular, I haven't even found a good third-party outsourcing. I can get YouTube views all day long. and I tried to append it with the playlist, not the UTM, but after the ampersand, the and sign. It's just not generating the same returns and on-page results as actually sending traffic to that playlist and then guaranteeing one or more playlist views watching. I've tried to do it with micro workers, but the IP addresses aren't there, or it gets too cost prohibitive. I just didn't know if there's anything you saw on the AI side or that Julian's touched on that would, because everything else you can #1 ranking within YouTube within 3 days if you do it right.
Very honest with you, we haven't done much on the botting side or experiments in that regard because we are too scared to lose a channel or lose the channels just because we have so many of them and they're our biggest lead magnets. So very honestly, we don't dabble with that. Have I experimented in the past? Yes. But none of it has been on a grander scale or something that I can share with you. I would always be on the fence of it's easy to bloat numbers, and I think you're aware of this, right? So if your channel just showcase, hey, here are amazing numbers, you can definitely do that, but I don't think that would necessarily help in a good way. One thing that stuck with me that you kind of explained there is when you search, you're seeing the YouTube playlist is one of the first things that pop up on Google. What I would focus on is less so the views and more so, have they done this via the description of the playlist, via the tags, and I would really work on those key phrases that are making that playlist show up rather than the clicks, the views on it. But I mean, it's going to be a lot slower process. So if you're looking for a quick win,
it was just, let's say over the course of a month, I get three or so playlist views a day. I get 100 playlist views. All of a sudden, I go from nowhere to #1 in YouTube, #8 in Google for the same. Then I turn it off and let the organic traffic just take over from there. And then it becomes a much more natural. But I need to force it into the algorithm. I've tested it 5 ways from Sunday, and that's what's showing up. So that's what I was just wondering if AI had a better way than having to go through some spammy or potentially spammy CTR bot where I have to play all the proxy game. I just didn't know if there was a smarter, more elegant way to get those views other than having to do paid ads that are hyper localized and then potentially drip feed it in. But it's so scattershot. I wanted something more artful.
I know. I get you. Sorry, I couldn't help you on that regard.
You're awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Man. You're welcome. All good. Really quickly, guys. As I kind of hinted at before, I will be. I've already recorded 7 more lessons for you in the VIX Learning Corner, which are going to be hopefully deployed by Friday latest. I just need to work with one of the editors to make sure everything is well, if there's anything that needs to be blanked out or covered. Hopefully you're going to enjoy these. I am working on making this segment as useful as possible with direct action stuff. So I heard a lot of people struggle to connect WhatsApp or to connect like a Facebook node. So I've made sure to do those. Meanwhile, I need to be very transparent with you. I haven't had the chance to play around too much with new tools that have come out or new software that has come out. So that is on my backlog because I was out last week. So I will be doing that over the weekend. Next week when we have our Q&A, which as I said is going to be a little bit later next week. So please make sure to check out the calendar. We'll hopefully bring you some more insight into new things that I've seen or played around with or used. Because we do have about 9 minutes left. I'm going to give you guys a minute or so to see if there's anything else I can help with. Otherwise, we will call it a little bit early so that I can go towards my next call. So the floor is yours, guys. Go for it, Matt.
I forgot to say earlier, my apologies. I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
I'm glad you had a good time with your son there. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It was good. I've never been to, I think it's pronounced Calais in France, and there's like a very big aquarium. So took him there. He's very young. He's 6 years old, so he enjoyed it, which was what I wanted to do. All right, team. It's been a very good call. Thank you so much for your participation today. Thank you, Dominic and Paris, for sharing a little bit about what you're working on, what you're focusing on. Hopefully, I was at least somewhat helpful, and you found value in what I was saying. Manny, drop me a message on what you feel is too complicated with your workflow, so maybe I can help you out there. Paris, feel free to share openly with me so I can play around with it and give you feedback. Other than that, guys, it was amazing talking to you. As always, it's my pleasure. Hopefully I was helpful, and I'll catch you in the boardroom. All the best, team.